Hey there, welcome to the channel. My name is James, and here at 20th and 21st Movies, we are about all things cinema. All right, today I have another Criterion Collection review for you. This is a review of a collector set that came out last year in 2022, and it's one of those Martin Scorsese World Cinema projects. Now, this case, it is Martin Scorsese's World Cinema Project number 4, and this is the 4th set that he has done for this fantastic series for the Criterion Collection. It started 10 years ago with the release of the first box set in this series in 2013. Then it came out with another one in 2017 with World Cinema Project 2. Project 3 came out in 2020. And then in 2022, Criterion released this World Cinema Project number 4 from Martin Scorsese. Now, Martin Scorsese, of course, famous filmmaker, one of my favorite directors of all time. He's made such amazing films as Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, Goodfellas, all the way up to Irishman. Some just great, great movies. He's even coming out with, I think, Flowers of the Moon. So I still need to watch that trailer and check out that film that's going to star Leonardo DiCaprio. If it has Martin Scorsese's name on it, I'm already in it. I'm already there. I'm interested in it. So he's one of my favorite filmmakers based on the films that he has given us over the years. But I think one thing that also makes Martin Scorsese as a filmmaker really special and important in the world of cinema is the great work that he's doing through his film foundation that he started, I think, back in 1990, which basically is the pursuit of preserving world film, preserving films around the world. And he and his film foundation have been doing it for the last 30 plus years. So they'll go out there and they'll find these movies from different parts of the world that are in danger of being lost forever and go about the great work of finding the best elements, restoring those films, and working with partners like the Criterion Collection to put these films from around the world in wonderful sets for people to enjoy today. He's done that with 3 World Cinema Project box sets before. This is the 4th one of those sets, and I wanted to come on here and just share my thoughts on this World Cinema Project box set number 4. It comes in at spine number 1142 in the Criterion Collection, and it covers 6 films from spine numbers 1143 all the way to 1148. And these are films from around the world, and these are films from 2 films are from the continent of Africa. So you have 2 African countries represented here. You have Argentina, so South America is represented. France, so you got Europe in there. India is one of the films that's in here. So a film from India and a film from Iran. So you have films from all around the world, from filmmakers everywhere, from Sarah Maldoror, Mario Safiko, Mohammad Reza Aslani, Dakunye Pipa, Andre Detov, and Uday Shankar. Just wonderful films from multiple decades of cinema. You have 3 films from the 1970s, 2 films from 1939, and 1 film from 1948. So what do I think about these 6 movies? Well, the 6 movies you have in this set is you have the first film is Sabenzanga from 1972, and that is one of the African films. It's from Angola. And it's basically, it takes us to a time when Angola was still fighting for its independence, and it covers the story of a woman who's trying to find her husband who has been wrongly imprisoned. And you see her struggle and the struggle of her husband during that time. And it's just an interesting glimpse into the turmoil of that area of the world. And it just gives you a glimpse into an area of the world that, I was not familiar with during a time of struggle for that time. So it's just giving us a glimpse of life in Africa, in that area of Africa, in Angola, in the early 1970s. So that was really fascinating to see. The second film is a film called Prisioneros de la Tierra from 1939, which goes back into the 1930s. And, this film takes us to Argentina. And in this film, you're looking at a group of oppressed rural workers during that time, and they're working under a warlord or a landlord who is a bit ruthless. And so you see the struggles of those people during that time in that area of the world in South America. Chest of the Wind, which you see featured up here, is a story of a family whose mother, the matriarch of the family, is dead. And there's some family secrets and intrigue within the family that unfolds during the course of the story leading up to an interesting climax in this Iranian film from Reza Aslani. And then you go to the fourth film, which is also on this disc, called Munamoto, which takes you to a love story in Cameroon in Africa, which is another fascinating story film from some other place around the world. And then you go to that third set in this set, which is Two Girls on the Street and Kalpana. So Two Girls on the Street takes us to France and covers the lives of these young women during the sort of interwar period of 1939 in France. So very interesting film there. And you also have the sixth film, which is called Kalpana, which is an Indian film, which is basically a musical dance type film, which is also fascinating. So you have films from around the world, different periods of history, and that's what makes this World Cinema Project such a fascinating set to go through. I would say, who is this set for? Because I think your question might be, is this really for me? Is this something that I would be interested in? And it really just comes down to, if you're interested in exploring films around the world, discovering new directors and new filmmakers, if you're open to that, if you don't mind reading subtitles, then this might be a set you might want to consider if you have that interest in world cinema. If that's not your bag, if that's not something that's interesting to you, then this is probably not going to be up your alley. But I think if you are interested in world cinema and discovering new directors around the world and discovering different areas of cinema that's out there, this is definitely a set to consider, as well as the other World Cinema Project sets. Now, this is the only one that I have bought to this date. It is World Cinema Project number 4. And I will go ahead and break this open so you can see what is inside this wonderful set. So you have the 6 films, and they're each in these wonderful portfolios here. So you have the Two Girls on the Street and Kalpana in this set. And in each example, you have 2 of the films on a Blu-ray disc, and then you have 2 DVDs with 1 of the films on each of the DVDs. So that's really nice. So that's Two Girls on the Street and Kalpana. This here is Chess of the Wind and Munamoto. Same setup, of course, the Blu-ray disc is in the player here. You have the typical descriptions of the films in the back, as Criterion always does. Fantastic. And like I said, Martin Scorsese's Film Foundation Project, they do a great job working with Criterion and working with their partners to restore these films in the best possible quality with 2K and 4K restorations and scans. You'll see here Sabezanga, the 1972 Angolan film, and Prisioneros de la Tierra. So this is the Blu-ray, and here are the discs. Fantastic, fantastic stuff. On each of the discs, you have an introduction by Martin Scorsese for each one of these films. So he talks about, for just a few minutes, his passion around each of the films. He talks a little bit about the filmmaker, why this film is important, and just gives you a little bit of a snippet of why this film is important in the world of cinema, which gives you an idea of why they went through the work of restoring the film and bringing it to us in the first place. And then you also have a feature for each film that goes into a little bit more depth on the making of the film and the story behind the film. So I think that's awesome. Absolutely awesome. So these are the portfolios for each of, or for the 6 films. And then you have this wonderful, pretty thick booklet here, Martin Scorsese's World Cinema Project. And on the inside, you have credits and you have an essay for each one of these films. So you have In Good Company, a foreword by Abby Lustgarten. You have Everyday Revolution, which is Yasmina Price's essay on Sabenzanga. Tropical Oppression, which is Matthew Kurish's essay on Prisioneros de la Tierra. The Glorious Miniature of an Upheaval, which is Ehsan Koshbat's essay on Chess of the Wind. I Am Munamoto, which is Abubakar Senegal's essay on Munamoto. All Is Lies, Chris Fujiwara on Two Girls on the Street. Dreaming the Impossible Dream, Shai Haradai on Kalpana. And then you also have a section on here about the restorations. So you have the cast and the crew for each of the films. You have these wonderful essays. This is the one, Everyday Revolution, talking about the Angolan Revolution, which is the time that the film Sablanzanga takes place. Great essay by Yasmina Price, just wonderful. Tropical Oppression, talking about the Argentinian film Prisioneros de la Tierra. Fantastic, fantastic. And you have these essays for each one of these films. So yeah, I mean, just a fantastic set overall. In terms of how does the picture quality look for these films, overall, the picture quality is very good for these films. I was very pleased with the picture. Just understanding the history of these films, and in some cases, you know, the elements being in various stages of condition. I think they did a great job with these 2K and 4K restorations of these films and restoring them to the best possible quality given the elements they had to work with. And I think in each case of all these films, they all look pretty nice on Blu-ray. I think, you know, now when you look at the DVDs, they, you know, don't look quite as good as DVD quality, but the scans are all good. The restoration work is good. And what you're left with is an overall strong picture quality that, while it does have some imperfections depending on the different scenes you're looking at for each of the films, you're overall looking at a very nice image on Blu-ray. So you do see some of the print damage. You do see some of the specs that's still left over, or some of the elements that's on some of the frames. So it's not as pristine and as clear as some of the 4K restorations of films that have better elements to work with might have. But overall, the picture quality is very strong on all these Blu-rays of these films. So kudos to Martin Scorsese's Film Foundation and the great work that the people who restored these films, they all did a great job. So overall, I would say that these films are definitely worth exploring. If you're interested in world cinema, if you're interested in learning more about directors from around the world. I had never heard of any of these films before I got into this set, never heard of any of these filmmakers. But having a chance to go through and experience these films is definitely eye-opening and just part of discovering more about cinema around the world. And that's what Martin Scorsese's World Cinema Project is all about. So while I enjoy Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, Goodfellas, all the great films that he has done for us through the years, I really appreciate his passion that he has for the preservation of world cinema. And that is exemplified in sets like this. So if you're interested in that, I highly recommend World Cinema Project number 4. And I'm inspired to check out other World Cinema projects in the Criterion Collection. And I might pick one up during the July sale. We shall see. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on World Cinema Project number 4. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about these films or this set if you have it. Let me know if you have any other of these World Cinema projects from Martin Scorsese. And if you do, what do you think about those and whether or not you plan to pick up any of these during an upcoming sale? Let me know all that goodness in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time at the movies. Peace.